This is coming from Lagos State. Residents Bimon as state traders raise concern over influx. On education, pursued students protest against tuition fees increment. On oil theft, Senator Ned Walker blamed military for destroying vessels. On Governor Mba, court award $5 million damage to NYSC over certificate saga. On Mobad, court ordered nurse friend to remain in custody for investigation. These are the stories we'll be looking at today, and joining me in this conversation today is a legal practitioner, which I will introduce to you after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. And joining me in this conversation is a legal practitioner. I'm talking about Barrister Kuel Barino Paul. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
All right, our first story today is coming from Lagos State. Some motorists and residents have lamented over the poor condition of waste collection truck plying some road in the Alimosho local government area of Lagos State. They maintained that this stationary truck, otherwise known as PSP truck, breakdown indiscriminately on the roads, thereby causing great load. The motorists told reporters that one Once the truck becomes faulty, they are left on the spot by the drivers, hereby posing a danger to road users. One of the motorists, Dehinde Olawale, said the truck were often left on the road for days without repair. He said the issues of PSP truck breaking down on the road in this area is becoming too much. I stay along the Oshere Igondo Road, and this is an area where we don't usually see traffic. But whenever these trucks break down, then traffic starts to build up along the road. It often ends up causing a long traffic because the roads are just two lane. And this is simply because most of the trucks are not in a good condition. Most of the trucks are owned by operators contacted by the state government under the Lagos Waste Management Authority. Meanwhile, residents and business owners said the snatch enacting from the truck affected them. The State Commissioner for Information, Wenga Omotosho, urged residents to notify the authorities in the event of such an occurrence. He said they can call Loma or LASTMA to let them know about any truck that breaks down. Loma has trucks that are efficient. These trucks belong to private individuals. The way to go about is for the resident to call the attention of the authorities to remove the truck once they break down. This is something that we can all relate to, because if you look around River State, you will see that most of these trucks are actually parked in a place that is not just good at all, causing unnecessary traffic, which is not even good for the people applying the road, because it can cause accidents. And one will ask, this contract has been awarded to someone. How come that whenever these trucks break down, they don't call these people to remove it? Or could it be that they call them and they don't do anything about it? And they are using this to mess up the federal road.
What's happening that have the power to actually regulate issues like this. But the question is, are we sure that Loma and LASTMA is not a and all of that? The fact that they are government contractor doesn't immune. So it's actually something that the state government should look into very seriously. It is beyond the commissioner telling them to call on Loma or LASTMA. They have to investigate to be sure that the officers of LASTMA and Loma, like given jurisdiction over that particular axis, are actually doing their job or responsive.
We hope that the government to do something about it, because
really
it's like we said, it is really, really very dangerous.
Yeah.
Now let's look at our next story for today. Traders and residents in Kara, Ibafo, and more communities in Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State has expressed concern over the influx of mentally ill persons roaming their communities. The trader told reporters on Monday that the mentally ill persons who lock in uncompleted buildings, abandoned houses, bridges, cells, and roadsides has become a concern to the residents. When our correspondents visited the communities, some suspected mentally ill persons were sighted roaming and hanging around. Our correspondents learned that they are fear that the presence of these mentally ill persons may be an opportunity for evildoers to perpetrate harm in communities. A trader who identified as Oluwaton Sini said,
These guys.
Guys to do evil. I remember there was a time in Rivers State, this story actually went around, that there was a particular mentally ill person in a particular community. I mean, everybody knows this person because he acts very calm, and then people dash him money and all of that. But just one day, they saw him in the market, appreciating the people that have been taking care of him.
Yes.
Like when I was mad,
you took care
of me. You were there. I noticed, like he came with a kind of
facilities to handle issues like this in terms of mentally ill people. But You know, they say at the time the psychiatric hospital at Rumwibo was practically empty, while the streets like were filled with mentally ill people, and mentally ill people are actually a huge danger to the society and also to themselves, like being left to roam. It's not like we are discriminating against them, but it's the reality. We've had an incident where I think while growing up, a madman actually pushed a child, and then he was also eating them too, eating a part of them. So mentally ill people should not work towards their recovery. The government need to look at these particular aspects.
The government really needs to look at it, do something about it. Honestly, we have psychiatric home.
Yeah.
If anyone is found on the street, they should be taken there, and then maybe attention will be given to them much later. But they should not be allowed to roam on the street at danger to others, whether they know what they are doing or they don't know what they are doing, because most of them are in disguise. So they should do something. And now our next story for today is on education. Students of Thai Solarin University of Education in Igbeja, Ode, Ogun State, on Monday gathered at the university premises to express their dissatisfaction and protest against the recently announced tuition fees hike for the upcoming 2023-2024 session as reflected on the students' portal. It was learned that on Monday, the school management raised the tuition for the new students enrolled into education courses from 76,500 to 230,000, and from 76,500 to 180,000 for returning students. The school fees for fresh students studying pure courses were increased from 80,500 and 90,500 to 240,000. This development has raised concern among students, leading to a large-scale protest. Students have taken to the streets, bleaching branding placards and leaf stems, and congregating at the various locations, including the main gates, the University Academy building, and the Directorate of the Students Affairs building. Their aims is to voice their strong disapproval of the proposed increase in school fees. The students have strongly criticized the management theme for their decision. Libeling is as inhuman, and students argue that the management theme failed to take into account the current situation of the country and the potential consequences of their actions. A statement released by the Students' Union partly reads, our attention has been drawn to the university's decision to increase our school fees on the portal. We firmly believe that this fee increment is unjust and place an unnecessary burden on students. For you that we are actively working to address these issues. We will engage in communication with the university management to encourage each one of you to stand together and say no to this fee increment. We must unite as a strong and collective voice to make our concern heard.
uh, the correct judgment on this, we need to also evaluate the school's reason for this, which actually wasn't stated in the news article. I think the reporter said as then the school authority hasn't responded to their query on the protest. However, I also feel this thing was in, that increase is more than 100%. Imagine a student coming back to school with a mindset like, I paid a 90,000 last term, last semester. So sorry, last session. So this session I'm coming to pay another 90,000, and then just in his face is more than 100% of that amount. If it's a student that is, because as when I was in school, there were a lot of students that were actually self-funding themselves, pushing themselves through school, and all of that. And then imagine a student that might have saved and say, okay, budget himself, budget herself, and then suddenly there is this increase. I know how they do these increases. They don't tell you why you are on holidays. After you've resumed, you've already planned yourself. This is the cost for this session. This I'm preparing myself, and boom, everything changes. It scatters your whole plan as a student. It scatters. The government has actually made it in such a way, designed it in such a way that the schools should be more self-funded, not providing enough subvention to run the school. Why we won't say that the school doesn't have a right to increase fees, in between and all of that. We can't, I don't really agree to the rate of increase. It's too much.
Now let's look at the effect this will have on students. Just looking at those that might not have the kind of fund to meet up to school standard now, don't you think it will have a way of affecting them greatly, and it will have a long time effect on them?
Yes, it depends on the school's policy. If the school policy is such that will not allow students to write exam if they've not paid fees, or to register their courses like we had in UST and all of that, it's definitely going to affect the students. Some might end up dropping out because they won't be able to meet up with the payment of fees. So they might end up dropping out from school and what have you. So definitely there is that effect. And then for those who might, it's going to place more strain on those who are actually funding themselves psychologically. It affects everybody. So definitely it's going to have a huge effect on
all right, we will just go on a short break. Don't go nowhere. We return very soon.
Is to get the student union involved, in the whole decision-making process. You, I believe that they could actually get the student representative to be aware of the school fee process, and then dialogue with the student, before finally this and this is actually a very difficult one to say in Nigeria. The only education I think that is actually accessible, takes care of education from the primary to secondary. Then I think the universities, though it's actually subsidized, like it's supposed to be happening in Nigeria, but we don't even know if they are subsidizing it again or they are not subsidizing it. So if the government actually subsidized for university level, tertiary level, but it's not completely free for even citizens.
When what should be used as crimes committed was logical, except those expected to prevent their crime were complete and compromised. According to him, crude oil pipeline vandalism and the destruction of vessels is found in possession of stolen goods. Do you say, or the way to deal with this is to destroy it? No, you take it from them, you document it, you preserve it, you charge the corporate, and then you proceed that The member of the Senate Committee Upstream Petroleum added that the only reason the military destroyed vessels apprehended for crude oil theft or lifting was to destroy evidence because there was compromise. Well, I think the military are complete. You know the reason they do this is because some of them might have compromised. Burning of vessels, this is not the first time it's happening. Something that has been happening, and there is this ideology that people have about this bunkering and all of that. That there are major stakeholders.
And the logic behind it. Why are you burning the vehicle? Why are you destroying the oil? What's your exact reason for that? There's no logic for that. Instead, what it does to the environment is to even further damage the environment. You know, you might say that it's away from the city, but it's an ecosystem. Everything circulates. Everything is kind of connected. You burn this thing, they go into the air, the oil to the ground, and maybe damage that ground. I'm actually following up on the Ogoni cleanup, and I know how much it costs to actually clean up a spilled oil. Then now you're deliberately spilling those oil on the ground by burning this. I'm not even trying to even talk about it from the area of evidence and all of that. But yes, Ned actually has. What's the logic behind burning this thing? If you recover this thing from these people, why not? If you don't want to take them to court, if you don't want to charge them for oil theft and all of that, or let's say they escaped, let's assume they escaped, why don't you take the oil back to the company, like, particularly the one owning the this, or if it's government own it, or you leave it, you present it to the court for the court to decide where the stolen the recovered stolen oil and the vehicle will be returned to. We've had issues where both EFCC and custom actually do vehicle auctions. Those are vehicles that have stayed in their possession, or maybe vehicles recovered from criminals. Let me not call them criminal, from people that have been alleged to have committed crimes. All those vehicles, it's the court. The purpose does it serve burning it? Does it prevent the oil theft? Because they keep on doing it despite all that burning.
But again, people keep saying, oh, because the vessel was burnt, that's why we couldn't get evidence. I mean, is that enough to say they couldn't get evidence? Because before this vessel got, they said this vessel are blessed, they did not set it with the people inside. They must have gotten them. If not all of them, one or two. Is that not, they've not gotten either the company or whosoever that owns the vessel?
About that also, the angle of evidence. The thing is, for a vehicle, let's say, for instance, the tanker vehicle, or any other vehicle carrying the products that you can't take those vehicles to court. You can't move them into the courtroom. So a photograph of the vehicles and maybe the suspect with the vehicle will suffice as evidence. So if it is burnt after the pictures are taken, I think, burning the vehicle doesn't really completely destroy evidence. Understand? It doesn't completely destroy evidence because pictures of the vehicles could be taken before they are burnt. But at the same time, or let's say vandalized pipeline, you won't take the vandalized pipeline to court. You only take pictures of it, and then you present it to court. This is a picture of, except the judge decide to continue with their business.
Okay, there's a lot of questions to ask about this, but let's just keep our fingers across. Let's see if this time the people investigating that they will come up with something tangible for us to hold on to, because I can't imagine I send someone an errand and then they hold you, maybe they happen to destroy what you are holding. The person should be able to trace back to me, or could it be that there's an oath somewhere? We don't know. That's a question. That's a rhetorical question.
It's talking about sending on errands. I don't think the security operatives will burn those vehicles without authorization from their superiors.
Oh,
So
definitely.
it should be the instruction they actually were sent out with.
All right. That was on Vessel. And then our last story for today is on Mohbad. The Lagos State Magistrate Court in Yaba on Monday sent back to custody a 37-year-old luxury nurse, Fasayo Ogendegbe, arrested by the police in connection with the controversial death of hip-hop artist Eleruwa Alaba, alias Mohbad. The nurse is alleged the nurse was alleged gave the late singer some injection that resulted to his death. In the same vein, the magistrate Adeolu Olatumbasun ordered that Mohbad's friend Ayoban. We all know that an accused is not guilty until the court declared him or her guilty. But I'm asking, why are they still in custody? We know that investigation is ongoing. Why can't they let them go? And then, as long as they get something, they can come back. Like Sam Larry now, they are granted bail of 20 million, but they still ask them to be reporting weekly. Their custody. So how come they can't do this to the other two? Is it that one is permitted to be behind the bars without, or in police custody without anything tangible to hold on to?
Okay, the Mohbad case is quite a sensitive one. Of course, I, for one, you know, I was deeply affected by his death. You know, a young guy and a very talented young man, and there was a lot of uproar surrounding his death, and there is still a lot of controversy. However, the police actually made, the Lagos State Command of the Nigerian Police actually made a lot of clarification during their last press release, you know, concerning the link to his death. You know, initially the whole news was pointing to Sam Larry, and then was also pointing to Naira Marley, you know, because of the videos we saw online concerning bullying and, you know, on another kind of intimidation on the late singer. But from the police release, you know, there is nothing directly linking the duo to his death. You know, at the moment, there is nothing directly linking Naira Marley or Sam Larry to directly. You know, it's not like he died as a result of the bullying or he was beaten. You know, if you know, the death occurred after the scene where they beat him up. You know, there are different videos where he was beaten up, but none of that actually led to his death. You know, the particular incident that actually relates direct, it's not like Sam Larry and Naira Marley doesn't have any case. They don't have any case to answer. They actually have a case to answer on the issue of bullying and the harassment and all of that. You know, they have a case to answer. But concerning the direct cause of death, you know, there are incidents that led directly to his death, which according to the police press release, it all started with the disagreement he had with his friend, you know, after a performance in Lagos, I think a Kurudu thereabout, and then I think he hit his hand, you know, in the course of, maybe it led to a physical this thing, and then he hit his hand somewhere and sustained an injury. And after that, you know, he didn't treat it in time. He didn't actually seek medical help immediately, and sought medical help only when the whole thing was like getting on him, when he started having feel that this thing is beyond just normal wound. Seems like I'll need medical, and then he called on the auxiliary nurse. You know, director of public prosecution, we have to advise on how the issue of Naira Marley and Sam Larry will be handled. And good 18 also, they've been directed, like their passport, their international passport has been will be seized, so that they can't actually run out of the country. So they're not actually running away from the law. So we believe that maybe from the advice of the director of public prosecution, they will not decide on what to do about them concerning their specific case, because now it's not clearly they are not clearly separate issues. Now, onto the issue of the murder, there are two key suspects, which are one, his friend, who had the fisticuffs with him that resulted to the injury, and then the nurse. The nurse is more of a stronger suspect in this case, because she actually applied, administered the medication, which resulted to his reaction and all of that, according to the police report. So she has, but his friend, in the long run, his friend might also get bail, because there's nothing wrong with having. I believe that the whatever fisticuff they had, people fight.
But for now that they have not seen anything to hold on to, like I said, just like these people, they have granted them bail of 20 million, but they can still be reporting to the court. Is there no way they can equally allow them to be free for them? Yes, that's what I'm asking.
This is actually a murder case. There are cases that are not, crime that are actually not bailable. You understand? Particularly if you are tagged a primary suspect in that regard, you can't actually be granted bail pending when your innocence is actually ascertained.
And then finally, they find out that they are innocent,